So Matt Houston's giving this police guy, traffic officer, hassle, and quite a lot of people are commenting on it, which is quite cool, really, because actually now they've got a little bit more interested in driving and like other police activities other than you, Les. I still think the police chief sent this guy, this nonce. This nonce has been sent. They must know like Matt Hardy's routine, and I think they've planted this guy. I think the police chief sent him to go like do some cars and wait for Matt Hardy to come past and see if we can provoke him into giving some entertainment, really, and see if he can get on Hardy's channel and probably on here as well, on this channel as well. Although I don't know, I've got quite a lot to say. Well, I had a lot to say when I was going out doing it, because I was literally throwing the book at them. I was like, I had all the traffic sign manuals studied and with me, and I was like literally challenging them on like all of the road signs, on the manual, on the lasers. Like I was literally challenging them on all the actual factual details of it all, and they weren't actually that knowledgeable, a lot of the camera guys, but the camera guys aren't even really proper cops. They're just like renter cops. This guy's an actual proper a traffic officer, a proper constable. I'd have probably just gone at him. Matt Hardy's going now. He was just giving him stick, but I'd have gone like, with his numbers, with your numbers, you're counting your numbers. It's all about the numbers, isn't it? What shows your numbers? It's all like, well, what are your numbers? They want to see, like, look at some numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 26. Weight and measure. The weight and measure man goes all the way back to London and the boats and shipping and what you're carrying. What cargo you got. Peas and carrots and bananas. Literally like market, man. They used to have clerks. Pie powder court, innit? Pie powder court. They had like, if you were selling tomatoes, if you were selling tomatoes, weighing them in and you had like a false weight on, like a pound of tomatoes, but the weight was only like half a pound, but you were saying that it was a pound, So they were selling half a pound of bananas, like when there's only half a pound of bananas. The weight and measure man. Literally, it's like the weight and measure man. So, but it's not even that now. Turns out, he could be arrested, this guy. I think this guy could actually be arrested, this copper, because what they're doing is they're holding pleas. What the police are doing is they are holding pleas. They're like charging you with an offence, getting evidence on you, and then sending you in the post that they're intending to prosecute you. Right? We're going to prosecute you. Unless you give us some money. Right? Give me some money. And what you do is you give them the money, but then they don't prosecute you in a court. You don't go to a court. If you don't give them the money, then you end up in court. But if you give them the money, you don't go to court and you don't have a fair trial in front of a jury. Not that there aren't juries in a magistrate court anymore. And what the police officer is actually doing, the chief of police with his, staff, and, you've got these... They've got these clerks, they've got these endorsement clerks, but I don't think that they're definitely not, they've got officers rented. It's not the court. I don't care who's been authorised to do what. It's not the court. You aren't getting a judgment by a justice. And what they're doing is they're actually, you're being convicted of a crime. You're confessing to an offence, right? They send you a letter through. It's a notice of intended prosecution, and they're saying you broke the law. And when you agree, you're saying, yes, I broke the law. So you're actually confessing to it, and they're fining you. You've committed a criminal offence, and you get an endorsement, right? Now, at that point, they've actually charged you with a crime and you've paid money, right? But you didn't go to court for it. And what that is doing is, it is, at that point, it is initiating proceedings to take your driving license off you. So, like, it's done in 3 stages. Stage 1, 2, and 3. 3 points, 6 points, 9 points, 12 points, right? That driving license is your livelihood and it's your possession. Like when you go to university and you get a certificate, right? It's your certificate on the wall. You've got a degree, right? And you earn your livelihood with it. And what they're doing is they're taking it off you without a jury trial and without a trial in court. The police are doing it. They're doing it. That it's phased. It's a phased taking of a chattel. And finally, they make you go to court at the final part of it, but all of it is part of the same proceedings. That basically, and the first 3, they can't take your driving license off you when you go into court with 9 points. They can't take the driving license off you without the 9. When you go in there to the court and you don't get offered any driving course, you don't get offered any. The police chief doesn't offer you a fine. If you've got 9 points, the police chief sends you to court. Now, when you go to court with 9 points and about to have another 3 put on for 12, right? You're there, and they're going to take your driving license off you, right? Using 9 points that were given without a fair trial, right? So a court is going to remove your driving license from you, right? Using 9 penalty points that you never had a fair trial of whether you were guilty or not with them, right? And that is illegal through Magna Carta. And Magna Carta has not been repealed in 1967 in the Criminal Law Act because they're still opening Parliament with it. They're actually opening Parliament with Magna Carta, all of the ancient rights and privileges that have ever been. We hereby open the Parliament of England, the Speaker to the Lord Chancellor. So if they're opening Parliament into power, right, invoking and into effect all of the ancient rights and privileges in that Magna Carta, then how the fuck have they repealed them in 1967 and the peers' privileges? Well, they haven't, because they're still using them now. So they haven't. Someone's lying. Someone's actually lying. And then that other guy said that, Magna Carta is in it. It's got the word for perpetuity, which means forever and ever. But I worked out that my calculation is different. I worked out that, well, it's actually in that book that tells you, funnily enough, in the book of all books it could be in, it's in that usage of Parliament book. And it happens to be in that, in one of the sections, particularly that's got Magna Carta in it as well for public petitions. But it ends up being the book that proves that we get privileges for petitioning Parliament. And that's the same book that what worked out that Magna Carta is still in effect. But at the time when that book was written by Erskine May, Elizabeth hadn't repealed those. She hadn't repealed those provisions, or claimed that she had. So that Magna Carta thing, police cannot hold pleas, right, for felonies, right? And a felony is a crime of which the punishment is taking your own possessions from you, because otherwise they can't take your possessions in crime. The only time they take your possessions is if you don't pay a fine, and as an alternative to paying the fine, they send the bailiffs around to take things from you. But I don't even know if they can do that. I don't even know if they can send the bailiffs around to take your things if the original crime was not that severe, because they're after money, really. And I actually think, that, why aren't they making you do community service instead? Or why aren't they, taking the fine off you over a duration? or making you do some work to pay the fine off or whatever. I still don't get this bailiff business. I think that might be even illegal as well. I don't know when they actually conjured that up as well. There were various things. There were quite a few things, but this is the weight and measure, man. You know, it's like half a pound of tomatoes or whatever. You know, he's measuring shit, you know. How deep's the pavement? He's not measuring the pavement, is he? Like the council, you know, didn't put the curbs in 3 millimetres, so therefore they're illegal. He's not measuring the road signs. He's not, you know, measuring the grass to see if the council mowed the grass. He's not looking at the advertisements the council have put up. He's not checking the Christmas lights on London Bridge to see if they're regulation, to see if they're safe. You know, he's not measuring anything except things that can make them money. You know, he's not checking things for safety. If he was checking things for safety, he's meant to be, you know, I'm the safety guy. I'm the safety man. I'm the road safety man. Well, are the road signs cleaned? I'm the road safety man, you know. Are people walking across the road, looking left and right, using the green cross code? I'm the road safety man, you know. He's not the road safety man. He's the measure man, you know. And he's holding illegal pleas where you don't get a jury. You don't get peer judgment. You get the police chief and his little office of sprats basically just sat in there doing a process they've been told to do and using threatening letters to get you to confess to a crime, right? Literally with a photograph or a little video. Well, they don't even want to give you the video clip because the video clip shows the bad technique. The video clips show the bad methods, the bad techniques, the bad style. The video clip ends up being evidence which can be used by you for your defence. And the police statement is you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you, right? Which is, you know, a little bit of a step further from I have reason to believe that you are breaking the law, right? That's definitely not evaluating whether someone's committed a crime or not. It seems to me like that they're looking for an excuse, you know, to do someone. So, you know, the fact is that, you know, he's going to, whatever he's got, he's going to use it against you. Therefore, if he's in possession of anything that could prove that you're not guilty, which the CPS are meant to take into account, like evidence that he's got shoddy aim with his laser, he's using laser slip, or he might even just have made the numbers up and lied about them and wrote them down on a notepad like wrong, you know. They're not giving us the evidence. They're in possession of evidence that can show that they are, you know, professional negligence, professional standards are poor. You know, even the fact that, you know, you might not be breaking the law, they ain't going to give that evidence over. They don't want to give that evidence over. So, you know, and even when you ask for it or entitled to it, they still don't want to give you it. So, he ain't going to give the evidence over without a fight for it. And the letters are meant to be intimidating and threatening so that you confess 1, 2, 3 times, and then that's it. You know, you know, he won't take any more confessions from you. A priest will take more confessions from you. You can go into see the bishop, you know, 10 times a week if you want to confess. Police chief only, you know, it's like Beetlejuice, you know, Beetlejuice. That's it. It's not like, you know, go down to see the local bishop or whatever in the confession chamber, you know, if you've been in there, you know, every other, you know, 5 times a month. This is like the, you know, like, never, you know, never sends you to court on the first date, you know, like, you know, don't have sex on the first date. You know, this is like, you know, it's like a hat trick, a one show pony or whatever, you know. Now the police chief sends you to court if he's got you 3 times, and he's illegally taken a confession and held a plea with you, so you've confessed to a crime without a fair trial, in a court in front of a jury, and then on the 3rd time he takes your driving license off you when the other 3 events have been illegally put through and without them, he can't take your driving license off you. He needs the 3 convictions in order to take the chattel from you on the 3rd go. So it's all the same thing, you know. It's not you know, it's all part of the same action, you know. Because if he hadn't illegally held pleas with you 3 times, he won't be able to take a driving license off you. He has to have done it. He has to have held pleas with you 3 times, right, for the 4th plea to be able to take a driving license off you. So it's like kind of being divided. So part of taking a driving license off you requires you to have confessed 3 times without a fair trial, right? So in that is illegal in Magna Carta. He's effectively just getting people to confess through threatening letters to crime, basically, when, you know, it could be proved that they're not a criminal. And then you've got all the other law that says that, you know, if you've got a schedule to keep, and if you're for your livelihood, it can be used as a defence. And in court, all the magistrates, you know, they just like give you, you know, fuck off. You know, they like either play dumb, like they don't know the law for it, when they do know the law for it, because it's like, you know, you don't make yourself 5 cups of coffee a day without knowing how to make a cup of coffee. These magistrates are like, oh, you know, what's this man in for? A speeding offence, you know. You know, well, you know, I didn't use it for my job, you know, it's in the law. No, you know, don't really know much about that, even though that I've got about fucking 59 million people in a day, you know, with the same legislation that I use every week. It's almost like opening the door every morning, you know. It's like reading the calendar, you know, what day is it of the month, you know, all those clauses in that legislation. It's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's like, you know, it's like days of the week, months of the year. You know, they must know them by heart. It's like lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, samedi, dimanche. You know, it's like naming my children. You know, it's like the Beatles, John, Paul, Ringo, and John. You know, it's like the Beatles. How can you not know the Beatles? It starts say, oh, you can't take my driving license off me. I'm using it for my job. You know, I'm on a busy schedule. You know, this is it. Where's your timetable? There you go. You know, you know, all this legislation which they think is tosh, but it's not. As if it didn't exist. You know, and then if you had a jury there, you know, they might have, even if you said, you know, they might have even forgiven you, even if you did break the law, even if you were speeding, they might say, oh, well, we're not going to convict him, you know, we're not going to endorse him, special reasons, you know, because what other special reasons? Or we don't believe in speeding. You know, what would that be a special reason for the jury? Well, you know, you came back by the law of the land or by the judgment of the peers. Well, we don't believe in speeding. And you know, maybe a lot of people in the country don't believe in these stupid speeding fines until the police chief gets his own little cult, like Extinction Rebellion. Yes, what I'll do is I'll rebel against it. I've witnessed that many accidents happen, that many eyeballs end up on TV aerials, that many fatal critical accidents that I've had to witness and go pick, you know, bones up off the road, like squashed hedgehogs, you know, mice, birds, owls flying into the window, all this pain and injury. You know, I'm sold like Extinction Rebellion. He's a force for the cause. You know, his mind is bent against these speeding drivers, just like Extinction Rebellion's minds are bent against these environmental climate impacts. They're all occultists. So, like, these road traffic police guys are like cultists. They're all in, like, the, you know, death cult, you know. They've seen a lot of dead bodies, and that they're obsessed with it. It's like, you know, it's like a cult, a dead body cult, just like Extinction Rebellion, like, you know, gluing their hands on the road, because it's like they've seen all the environmental disasters, so they're brainwashed to this environmental disaster cult. And then they go around telling everyone and getting them to join their gangs and clubs like they do with these speeding courses. What we'll do is, to stop the public opposition, I'll start a political movement. I call it speed awareness course, and we'll change everyone's attitude and get them to agree with our policies and our way of seeing life, even though it's a little bit step too far for a police officer whose job is to enforce the law. But then we'll change everyone's political ideas. In fact, could even be influencing the jury. Could that? I'll tell you what. Why don't we get the jurors in, right? Even though they've got to decide by their own conscience. If I meet them in private over the course of 6 months, what I could do is, I could get all these jurors to, be anti-speeding, like all the magistrates, and then they can, if they ever get in but you don't get a jury because, you only get a jury in Crown Court, and you don't go to Crown Court unless you have killed someone, and then if I've got a strange feeling that I think the police chief is striking everyone somehow off. That I've never been called for jury duty. Apparently, there's only a 30% chance that you get called for jury duty in your life, right? 30%. I must have been not in that 30%. Either that, or I'm sure that I've got a feeling that everyone who's ever had a speeding offence, the police chief strikes them off the jury duty. I've just got a feeling of that. And then no one who actually ends up on jury duty has ever been done for speeding, right? I've got a feeling that that's what he's doing, but I'm not sure. I can't prove it. I might just not be in that 30%. I'm not sure if you're allowed to have jury duty if you've been even like, obviously they're not going to strike off people on jury duty if they've had a parking ticket or something, but I've just got a feeling that's what they're doing, although I'd like to prove that, so it's what the chief's doing is he's trying to oppose the resistance. People got their own opinion of what no one's going to oppose Parliament and support speeding changing the law if the police chief has politically got them to be pro. It's like anti-vax, pro speed cameras. If you go in the naughty boys courses and all the driving courses, and he gets you into supporting the cause, then people aren't going to oppose it. They're going to take the side of the police. So no one will sign petitions or ask to get. And then they also, there's the extra accidents in the newspaper. So if they have a lot of dead bodies on the front of newspapers, people being run over and blood splattered everywhere, like pretty much like they're showing you in the cinema every day with the blood, Arnold Schwarzenegger, people are going to be scared and terrified, because that's, scared. It's like Extinction Rebellion do, shock people, sit on planes, if, like Bulldog Bash, that's police terror campaign. A lawyer in Kent managed to get speed cameras banned from motorbikes. And it was like they managed to get all police were banned from using the lasers on motorbikes. And then what happened is the police did a terror incident. There was the Bulldog Bash at Banbury, which is near Teletraffic UK. And then they did it so this motorcyclist got shot in the back of the head in a helmet from a car, made it look like a gang shooting or whatever. But it was just after they managed to ban all police from using those guns on their motorbikes, speed guns and that things, something like that. Generally something around that order of events. I can't remember the exact specifics, but I think that's how it panned out. So that's like a terror attack. It's either... and also, the police testing centre was near there. They had a secret private house in the countryside as well, not far from there. Kind of like in between, where the top of the M40 and where the top of the M5 comes to meet the M42, that sort of like, Alberchurch, bottom of Birmingham sort of area, out in the countryside. They had a secret lab, a posh house in the countryside where all the police laser mafia used to meet and test all the lasers out and everything like that. And that was also near there as well. So it's like the A-Team, basically, like Hannibal Smith, Mad Murdoch, BA, and, Face, they got shut down. A lawyer shut them down in Kent, in a magistrate's court, shut the whole fucking lot of them down. You're all fucked. All the police were shut down. All the motorbike police were shut down. They weren't allowed to use lasers anymore. So they had to stage... they were furious about it. They were absolutely fucking furious. So the A-Team, the undercover cops, the off-duty cops, they went and staged a Mad Murdoch fucking incident at Bulldog Bash thing, where it was all in the newspapers. They did like a little movie set where some fucking motorcyclist got shot in the back of a helmet from a fucking moving car, just like they banned all the police from using the lasers and shooting people with the lasers on the motorway. So that's the kind of thing that they do, these police. It's like Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil, They do events, stage events, but the only difference is Extinction Rebellion just sit there and own up to it, honestly, or we did it, The undercover cops, they don't want them to know that they are doing it. They just want it to... They want the event to be in the newspaper, but they don't want to be in the newspaper. They don't want us to know that they staged the event. They're presenting the event on a plate. So they leave the plate on the table, right? But they don't want to know who put it there. But Extinction Rebellion don't care, Extinction Rebellion want to put the fucking, soup all over the painting, right? But they don't hide. They don't mask themselves. They stand there, Phoebe Plummer, they got balls, we did it, right? But these cops, these pussies, these fucking scoundrels, these nonces, they dare not, come out and say, we're the terrorists, we are the fucking terrorists. We want to fuck people with laser guns and find the fuck out of them because we're brainwashed into accidents. Freddy Krueger's been spooking us out, with accidents sending us to see dead bodies. We've got necrophilia. We've got a dead body, campaign. So now we're obsessed with dead bodies and getting the public, to oppose it. They're all mashed in the head from the job because they're dealing death. Their job on the motorway is picking up squirrels and dead birds and owls that are flown into windows and shit like that. So they've got necrophilia. They're just obsessed with death, and they're on a mission. Stop death. They're obsessed with stopping death. It's like a death cult. Whereas Extinction Rebellion are obsessed with it, with this Jonathan Fuller, war crimes and, what do you call it? Genocide, genocide, all these genocidal companies, that are genociding, killing millions of people with all these diseases and, diabetes and so forth. But, you don't have the police, going after all these companies. They're not arresting Coca-Cola executive. They're not arresting all these, Chinese restaurant owners for putting out sugar plum sauce and sending people's diabetic, come back from a Chinese restaurant and the fucking blood sugar's through the roof. They're not doing that. They're not prosecuting any of these pill companies, these pharmaceuticals. They've all got immunity, apparently. But can't be sued. But, they can be prosecuted for criminal crimes. There's nothing stopping them from being prosecuted with criminal crimes if you can prove that they've, intended people to end up, at the worst of health from it. This is the thing. But, going back to the basics of it, it's Magna Carta. It's against Magna Carta what the police are doing because they're not getting judgment of peers. And even if they were getting the judgment of their peers, then the police are trying to politically alter them and in respect to people's conscience. And in fact, I come to realise now that the judicial oath is that without any favour, without fear or favour, And in America, it's called without respect to a person's conscience. So the police are not allowed to get involved with people's personal opinions, right? If someone this guy is measuring with a gun, right? He's measuring, right, who breaks the law. And if you break it, right, then he does you. He can advise you, but the thing is, what they're actually doing is, when they get into this advising bit of territory, they're actually starting to try and, with respect to persons, with respect to individual consciences. So what they're actually trying to do is they're trying to affect the conscience. They're trying to, if you had, it's like the Samaritans, the Good Samaritans, right, are a religion. They're trying to talk people into being good. That is trying to affect the person's conscience, right? Don't be evil, be good, right? They're trying to tell them, when you get these maniacs in town centre, repent or go to hell, some of these religious nutcases, right? The job of the police are not priests. You can have a priest if you're in prison. You can have a priest if you're in a police cell, right? But the police are not a priest. It's not been ordained, right? So as for the person's, own spiritual beliefs, it's not in the remit of the police officer. So, it's... If you get a police force and they're going around telling everyone, right, that, I don't know, that you should be giving money to charity, right, then it's, if they're making people feel guilty because, there are children down in Africa, they should give money to charity, it's they're influencing them, so they're trying to convince people, one thing or another. But if no one's broke the law, right? But even if they have, community service is meant to be like a punishment, for what you did. There's definitely some kind of area where there's a fine line between influencing electors, right, and law enforcement. Because in law enforcement, right, what happens if you want the laws changed? This is the thing. You don't actually have... The interesting thing is you don't have police going around telling people not to murder people, They don't have, like, groups, Do they have groups of people, like, in a murder course, and should watch a video and, tell people, they shouldn't really murder people? And then, maybe they could show a little bit of, Freddy Krueger. Maybe they should show a little bit of Friday the 13th. They could tell people that, the police could have little community meetings, They could go around neighbourhoods saying, have rooms of people in there and, tell them why they shouldn't kill people. Apparently the crime is through the roof. They're having meetings about, people shouldn't be carrying knives. I wonder if the police chief, right, goes, to Brixton, right, and has like... if the police chief goes to Brixton, right, and has like a weekly, session, on why, with teenagers, why they shouldn't carry knives and stab people, right, and watch a little video, maybe they could show them, like Friday the 13th with Freddy Krueger, look, everyone, this is what they're showing you at the cinema. Here's Freddy, he's got like 5 knives on each hand, it's nice little, and here he is, like, chopping up a little kid. We shouldn't do this. We shouldn't do it. Don't do it. Don't go out and do that. I know that Steven Spielberg's telling you to do it, and he's like even making it quite, entertaining, and people are laughing about it. But you shouldn't do that. Don't go out with knives. Don't slice people up. It's bad. It's not cool. I know Arnold Schwarzenegger's walking around with a pair of shades and making it look cool when you fucking drive a truck straight through the front of a police station. and then go up to the counter and, go, I'm looking for Sarah Connor, this is, okay, don't do that. Don't drive trucks through the front of police stations. It's not cool. I know Steven Spielberg's making it look cool, but we don't want you to do that. It's just pretend, even though they're making it look appealing and that someone might think that it was like funny or even, desirable to do that, or stylish even. But, don't do that, this is the thing. But, they're building more and more cinemas and showing more and more of these films, and people pay money to go see it, and even buy food and make themselves diabetic while they're doing it. You don't see the police officer walking into the... it would be all right if the police officer drove his fucking 4x4 straight through the front of the cinema and walked up to the fucking ticket office and said, "You're under arrest. I'm shutting the cinema down, for intention to influence minors to crimes, and went upstairs like fucking Die Hard, like fucking Bruce Willis, the fucking terrorist at the top of the tower, and fucking arrested them all and took them into, charged them with, intention to influence minors to crime and glorifying crime or whatever. But you don't see that, do you? You don't see the police chief going to the cinema and fucking shut it down like, oh, these sweets are making everyone diabetic, and so forth. He's sat in there with a fucking Ben and Jerry's ice cream, and on the police officer's fucking in there eating Ben and Jerry's. This is the problem with the world. But yet, when there's fucking dead bodies all over the motorway or whatever, they're like fucking brainwashed, like they're necrophiliacs. They want to obsess to get everyone. They think that everyone's out to cause accident. They don't think that people are trying not to have an accident. 99% of drivers are, most of the day trying not to have an accident. That's the thing.